Soldering is one of the activities students really enjoy. They like that idea of heat, flame, and melting something and joining it. So they relate this often to welding, but it is just soldering, which means it's putting a soldering material in between the elbow and the straight piece of pipe. So at the beginning, yes, make sure you clamp down a couple of vices to the table. This makes it so much easier. The small little portable orange vise is the best one for clamping down the soldering piping. The other ones are better for cutting. So each student can either cut a short 2-inch piece of copper pipe or clean and prepare an elbow. So to cut the copper pipe, get them to cut about a 2-inch piece, show them how to slowly advance the cutting tool into the copper pipe to score it until it cuts it all the way off. Then show them how to deburr the copper pipe. And what this does is takes away a little burr on the inside of the pipe, which reduces the flow of water. And you can explain this to the students. So they're just taking that little burr off. And that's the first part for the preparation. Now, whether they use an elbow or a straight bit, they must clean that copper pipe for soldering. There's a lot of greases from people's hands and dirt and oxidation. That all needs to be removed to get a really good solder joint. So there's a couple of tools that we use. One is emery cloth. It's just like a sandpaper. And for the copper pipe, you need to clean the outside of the pipe. Nothing is going to be soldered on the inside, so we clean the outside with the emery cloth. And you can depend on which part they're going to be soldering. They have to make sure that everything is really clean. Otherwise, the solder does not join, and that's how you'd get a leaky joint in your soldering job. There's a little brush, but it's actually got grit embedded in it, and that's one way of cleaning the inside of the copper joints. Or you can get a little piece of emery cloth and roll it up, and you can use that like a little rolled up piece of sandpaper. And that bit of grit will clean the inside. And then we take some flux and we apply flux all the way around the inside of the fitting and all the way around the outside of the pipe. Take a look at the shape of the soldering configuration we're making. So once everything has been cleaned really well, then you prepare a bit of solder. Try to extend it about 8 inches so that it gets the hand away from the flame. And I like carving about 1-inch piece of solder off so the students know how much solder to add once it starts melting, because it disappears really quickly. Start up your torch and then place your fitting onto the straight piece and rotate it so that causes the flux to travel all around the fitting. Now you're going to add heat to both the fitting and the straight piece of pipe. So you're alternating, moving the heat around because you want it to be uniformly heated so that when you add the solder will flow uniformly all around the joint. And that's what actually bonds and seals the joint. So we don't want to add too much heat, otherwise you'll melt the other joint. So once the temperature is right, you'll see the solder start flowing. You can remove the flame and you add all the solder for that joint. While it's still hot, with a damp rag, you can wipe it clean, and this helps smooth off any big drips. That's soldering.